Hi everybody, I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to each and every one of you. Today I'm gonna start a new series called Underrated, Overrated, and this is going to be, for today, this is going to be about the Beatles albums. And these words, underrated, and especially the word overrated, may sound pretty weird, for any Beatles big fans, because I don't think there's any Beatles album that may sound overrated if we compare the Beatles album to any other rock albums in general. But when it's time to compare a certain Beatles album versus other Beatles album, I think some of these albums are underrated while other albums are overrated. So I'm going to give you my opinion about that. I'm going to start with the underrated albums, in my opinion. I think an album, like their debut, Please Please Me, I think Please Please Me is a little bit underrated. I think it was a good debut album, but I just picked two albums. I went for two albums. Uh, their most underrated albums, in my opinion. And the first one is A Hard Day's Night. And I think, most of the people would rank an album like that at number 9 or number 8. And I understand, people in general would still say that it's a great album, but I think it deserves much. It deserves more love than that, uh, because there's a lot of energy here, and even if lyrically it was something very innocent, all the songs were about love, I think there's a lot of energy, and the vocal harmonies, and the melodies are so strong, and even, the weaker songs from that album, songs like I'm Happy Just to Dance with You, or I don't know, Tell Me Why, even those songs still sound good, and I think it was a big step, in the Beatles' career and in rock in general. And to me, that album deserves to be in the top 5. And by the way, this is my cat Whiskey. Say hello, Whiskey. That cat is so in love with me. So just listen to me, Whiskey. Now I'm doing a video, so leave me alone. See you later, baby. So the other album that I pick as a very underrated album, in my opinion, is Help. And, I tend to agree, I partly agree, with people who say that the songs from the movie are still better than the songs, from the side two. And I understand, their point of view. Uh, because maybe there's a few weaker songs, on the side two, but I think there are still a couple of great songs, even on the side two songs like It's Only Love. John didn't like that song, but I think the melody is great. A song like I've Just Seen a Face, I love the guitar. Yesterday, a lot of people are getting tired of hearing Yesterday, and I am one of those people, but I think it's still a good song. Act Naturally is not a great song, but still a funny song, something very pleasant to listen to. And, you know, uh, even if there are a few songs that are weaker on the side too, as I said, uh, with the songs from movie Help, The Night Before, You've Got to Either Live Away, I Need You, Ticket to Ride, I think it still sounds like a great album, man. Just like A Hard Day's Night, to me it deserves to be in the top 5. So that was for the underrated albums. Now let's talk about the overrated albums. Uh, just like for their underrated albums, I went for two overrated Beatles albums. The first one is Let It Be, and this is a funny case, that one, because a lot of people would rank that album to the bottom or very close to the bottom, while other people would rank it right in the middle, like something like number seven. Uh, like any other Beatles album, I think there are still a couple of pretty good songs. Let It Be, I've Got a Feeling, I Me Mine, Two of Us. But it's just the production, it sounds pretty rough compared to other Beatles album, like Abbey Road, for example. And the general is atmosphere is a little bit dark, but that being said, it's still a good album, but I just think it's a little bit overrated. And finally, the album, in my opinion, the album that is the most overrated Beatles album is the White Album. And now, don't get me wrong, I really like the White Album. I think there's a wide range of musical styles here, but there's not a lot of great vocal harmonies, except maybe for a song like Dear Prudence. And there's not a lot of studio innovations, like Revolver or Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And there's a couple of weaker songs, Revolution Number 9, Honey Pie, Wild Honey Pie, Good Night. There's a couple of fillers here. And that's why I think it's a little bit overrated compared to other Beatles albums, as I said. And for me, I wouldn't rank that album in their top five. So that was my opinion, and I'd like to know what Beatles album you think are underrated and what Beatles album you think are overrated. So see you for my next video. Bye bye. Say bye bye, Whiskey. Bye bye.